Strange words coming from my lips. Strange, but very wonderful. My son. You know, your mother and I have been waiting quite a while to say that to you. You see, you weren't exactly unexpected. And out at our house, we've been sort of making things ready for you. If we don't have everything you need, I know you'll understand, because I guess we've both got a lot to learn about each other. There's so much in my heart, so much I want to say, that I hardly know where to begin. So maybe I'd better start by telling you that just like those friends of yours next to you, you are a citizen of the United States of America, born in the state of California, county of Los Angeles, city of Burbank. Burbank was incorporated as a city in 1911, and as cities go, it is almost as young as you are. But it is a strong, growing youngster. And the old City Hall has been replaced by the new municipal building, which stands as a symbol of the work accomplished by the 80,000 of us who are here ahead of you. 80,000 who, together with me, hand down to you what we have built. This city of yours, like any city, is made up of many things. A prowl car early in the morning. Traffic streaming home in the evening. A city is stores and buildings. Parks to relax in and playgrounds for recreation. It's church on Sunday, school on Monday, and home every day in the week. But most of all, I guess, a city is people. A businessman opening his shop. Aircraft workers eating lunch. The fellow next door raking leaves in his yard. And a sweeper hugging the curb. A city means homes. Mothers shopping for the family groceries. Young and crossing guards at busy intersections. It means folks peeking at magazines at the corner newsstand and watching while a street is being repaired. Yes, a city means many things to many people. And it also means many people providing many things for themselves as a group, which they could not attain as individuals. Police protection, fire protection, and health services. There must be public utilities for electric light and power, and for supplies of pure, cool water. Streets and thoroughfares must be built, maintained, and lighted. There should be parks and facilities for recreation. Practical plans must be made for future growth and development. So actually, the city means a series of services provided and paid for by the people. A series of services that make it possible for them to live and work together for their mutual benefit, mutual enjoyment. And the method used by our people to attain this objective is the American heritage, handed down by my father to me, and now, my son, by me to you, the free ballot.
By their ballot, the people decide what they want, and seeing that they get it is the obligation and the responsibility of the city government. In 1927, the people of Burbank adopted the council-manager form of municipal government. 5 local residents are elected by ballot to serve as the council, and they are the governing body, initiating all city activities. Also elected by the people are a city clerk, police judge, and city treasurer. To administer the policies and plans they initiate, the council engages a city manager, a man of proven ability and integrity, trained in the science of civic management on a business-like basis. A city attorney is employed to make sure that there are no infringements of public rights. All the departments of the city's services are under the administration of the city manager, and with his guidance activate the policies set down by the council. The council also appoints a number of commissions and boards. These commissions consist of members of the council, the administrative staff, and public-minded city residents who serve without compensation. These commissions act as fact-finders and advisors. Council meetings are held every Tuesday afternoon and on the second and fourth Thursday evening of each month to pass the city's laws and take legislative action. Statutes enacted on a national or state level are more or less impersonal, but city ordinances and resolutions directly affect the everyday lives of you, me, and the lady who lives 2 houses away down the street. So when the individual looks at the city, he or she sees it in the light of his or her individual needs.
I guess most women see a city pretty much the same way, as a good place to bring up our children and let them play and grow in security. I see schools where they can receive a sound education and a basic understanding of the democratic way of life. I see churches where all the grown-ups and all the children can follow in the steadfast faith of their fathers. For myself, I see friendly, well-stocked stores where I can buy the things my family needs at prices that fit my budget.
I guess I understand what my wife wants, but my job's to earn a living. So I see the city as a place where I can do just that, where a man has the opportunity to get ahead if he can show the stuff. Now that doesn't mean just a few large outfits, but enough in different kinds of businesses so that I have a choice of what I want to do and where I want to do it.
Yes, individual citizens see their town through glasses ground to specifications of their own needs and desires. But the council and the city officials must look at the city through civic bifocals, focused now on the requirements of the city as a whole, and again on the needs of the individual.
This street's got to be improved.
Are the other folks on the street willing to pay their share of the cost? A new ordinance, however, requires a payment of only 1/8 of the cost to start the work.
There ought to be a signal at this corner.
Signals are set up according to a master plan for traffic control. Perhaps this corner fits that plan.
I think I'll have these lots rezoned for business. Be easier to turn over.
Yes, that's true, but the folks with homes here have an investment to protect too. How will they feel about rezoning? And so each appeal, desire, request is heard and considered as it should be in the light of the greatest good for the greatest number. In a rezoning action, a petition is drawn up and then both sides give their ideas on the matter. The council refers the matter for thorough investigation to the Planning Commission to determine if a change in zoning would create conflicting uses of property, that is, mixed commercial and residential. Would it affect loan standings and land values? On the basis of their findings, they submit a recommendation to the council. After both sides have been heard in open meeting and the commission's recommendation considered, a vote is taken. Petition denied. It isn't possible to please all the people all the time. Next business on the agenda. This is the gentleman who wanted his street improved and did something about it. First, he approached his neighbors and found that most of them felt the same way he did. A petition was signed and sent to the city clerk, who, in turn, routed it to the engineering department for an estimate of cost. The petitioners found this cost acceptable, and now, having paid the necessary 1/8 deposit, request that the work be started immediately. And the council so orders. The council so orders. Now the administrative departments under the city manager take over. Necessary plans, curbs, the material for which the city will provide by mining its own rock and digging its own sand and gravel, then mixing it in the city's concrete plant. The city's asphalt plant will process the material needed for the paving. Other services provided by the engineering and street department are many and diversified. Just about everything in the street, from installing traffic signals and maintenance of pavement to maintenance of old sewers and the construction of new ones. To provide and maintain high standards of health and sanitation, today and in the future, Burbank has assumed 4% of the cost of the huge Hyperion sewage treatment plant. This assures us of adequate sanitary disposal for years to come. Trouble with your garbage pail? How many thousand does the engineering and street department pick up and dispose of each year? And this humble rubbish collection unit, is it possible that this load of jumbled rubble can be part of some well-conceived plan? Clean up the city, yes, and take away the junk, the empty cans, and yesterday's useless trash. Pile on the broken branches with their dead and dying leaves. Take these forgotten discards and worn-out remnants. Take them out into the empty hills. Take them and dump them. Only a few years ago, the trash was cluttered in the canyons. But now we use the useless. Bulldozers spread the loads across the canyon floor, then cover it with dirt. This fill is tamped and rolled, gradually building up the canyon in a series of terraces. So from leavings of the past, we build new ground for the benefit and beauty of the city. A city should function with the precision of the well-managed corporation that it is, with the people as stockholders, the council as board of directors, and the city manager as executive vice president. And the services which we provide for ourselves with this business called a city are as varied as our needs. In the interests of public health, all food handling establishments are rigidly inspected. More than 5,700 inspections a year are made of markets and cafes or wherever food is handled. Emergency ambulance service has been provided by contract with an experienced ambulance firm, and emergency facilities are provided by St. Joseph Hospital, also by contract. Formerly, the city operated its own emergency hospital, but the council instigated this new method, which means not only better facilities, but a saving to the city of some $18,000 a year. Also requiring service are certain non-voting citizens of the community, lost or forgotten by their friends. Inspection of all new construction within the city limits is under the jurisdiction of the building department. Not often given the credit it deserves, the building department issues all permits for construction, but only after careful study of plans and blueprints. Are the ceilings high enough? And are there sufficient windows for healthful ventilation? Are sanitary conditions as they should be? Are the fire hazards held to a minimum? This is important to the city, as well as to the owner, because insurance rates are fixed for the entire city, and poor individual risks could raise the rates for everyone. Careful inspection by experienced men protects the owner, assures him that the men he hired for the job have done the job right. And right at the moment, it might be difficult to convince this gentleman that he is receiving service from one of the departments of public safety. It might also be hard to convince him that laws are not made to restrict privileges or just to punish the wrongdoer, but laws are primarily made to prevent a breach of other people's rights. For instance, giving tickets and handing out fines punishes the speeders, but it doesn't prevent others from endangering property and life by breaking traffic laws. To prevent speeding is the reason police cars are painted, so as to be easily identified. How often have you slowed down when you spied that black and white? Yes, the real object of law enforcement is prevention. Important to prevention is a modern system of communications, not only in police work, but also in all services. Through a central switchboard system, all services can be reached immediately by dialing a single number. Also, in the interests of prevention, not fear, a civilian defense council has been established, and the air raid alarm system they set up is radio controlled, the first of its type in the country. Plans are ready for concerted action in the event of any emergency. But in spite of any preventative methods, there are always smart guys, and the city has the modern equipment and men to enforce law on those who think they can make their own laws. Modern police work is a methodical science, but it isn't all impersonal statistics and cold facts. There's the human side. And to the police desk come some of the strangest calls in the world. I forgot to shut the front door. I'm afraid I left the iron burning. My little girl is lost. I locked my puppy in, and you know if he doesn't get out soon. And when the new shift is ready to take over, the briefing reflects the many-sided facets of their job. Stolen cars reported, license numbers, make, body, year of model. Mrs. Barker is on vacation, Joe. Check to be sure everything's locked. Ed, Mr. Logan on your beat thinks there's been a prowler. Give a good double check. It doesn't matter what the job to be done may be. The police are ready. And the confidence that the people have in a policeman and the duties he may at any moment be called upon to perform requires men of intelligence and moral as well as physical courage. All applicants for the force are not only carefully screened as to character and personality, but they must also undergo exhaustive physical tests before they can be accepted for training. Strength, endurance, speed and agility, applicants for the fire department meet the same high standards. The recently completed training tower gives them the opportunity of learning how to combat one of the deadliest hazards, a smoke fire. The danger of suffocation is acute, and in the darkness of basements where this type of fire most often occurs, there is the deadly chance of becoming lost in the smoke, trapped and overcome. Prevention and education are always the best provisions for public safety. Youngsters are taught early that although water is adequate for putting out small paper or wood fires, certain chemicals are far more effective. They see that dangerous oil fires can be controlled fairly well with carbon tetrachloride. And they have the opportunity to learn that carbon dioxide is even more effective. Their safety and lives may someday depend on what they learn at demonstrations such as this one. During the last few years, routine preventative inspection has become a matter of policy, and all types of property, wherever fire hazard may lurk, are covered. In keeping with this policy of prevention, the council invited the National Board of Fire Underwriters to make a special survey of the city's equipment. The council is following the recommendations made by the underwriters, and in that way help reduce general fire insurance rates throughout the city by from 5 to 12%. A dropped match, someone burning rubbish without a license or without a hose nearby. Some careless act. Result, fire. Mean, dangerous, and tough to handle, and always with the threat of spreading. It may sound strange, but quite often someone will say to a fireman, "That was sure a dandy fire you had yesterday." Well, there just isn't a thing dandy or good about any fire. Water can be put to better uses. The people of Burbank own their water and electric utility system, which they operate through the Public Service Department, whose new administration building stands as a symbol of the city's self-sufficiency and independence. Water rates are about 20% lower than the average for the surrounding area. Practically all the city's water supply comes from 12 city-owned wells. Surplus water is stored in the new 25 million gallon reservoir, covered to prevent loss from evaporation. Burbank belongs to the Metropolitan Water District, but this new reservoir has cut city purchases of water by 65%. The new Valley Station pumping plant provides the pressure to distribute the water to every home and building. Water is so much a part of our daily routine that we take it for granted. 100 cubic feet of water weighs 3.5 tons. Now imagine, 3.5 tons of a commodity delivered right into your home by your city for use when you want it for 13 cents. In 1946, the city generated only about 44% of its electric power needs. During the past year, 85% of these needs were supplied by the steam electric generating station's two 10,000 kilowatt turbo generators and a new 20,000 kilowatt unit. Electricity generated in the plant is fed to the switching yard. Here the power is routed to distribution lines, which carry the electric energy to every corner of the city. At points along the line, transformers on poles reduce the voltage to levels suitable for use in homes, business, or industrial plants, at cost rates among the lowest in the entire country. The nerve center of the system is the load dispatcher's room. From long experience, the dispatchers know how to anticipate the needs of the city from hour to hour. The Public Service Department has grown from an original investment of $50,000 to an operation with an estimated value of $15 million. In addition to paying for normal expansion each year, the department has paid a substantial part of the Metropolitan Water District costs, payments which would otherwise have had to be raised by levying taxes. And so the business of the city runs smoothly, efficiently. Much of this efficiency stems from the advisory commissions and boards. The city has two libraries. A new addition to the headquarters library at Glen Oaks Boulevard and Olive Avenue was completed this year in order to meet increasing demands, even though the new Buena Vista Library was built only 2 years ago. The library system is important to the city, culturally, educationally, and for the plain enjoyment of the quiet pleasure of reading a good book. The Parks and Recreation Department builds and maintains facilities to make the city an attractive place to live. Burbank has 418 acres of parks and playgrounds where the people can relax and enjoy their leisure hours. recreation activities provide fellowship and entertainment for all age groups. From the toddlers to the senior citizens of the Auld Lang Syne Club. Playing together and relaxing together is as important as working together. And you can take your exercise scientifically or take it to the rhythm of the Virginia reel. The city swimming pool provides sport and fun for more than 50,000 youngsters and grown-ups each year. The water is constantly changed, flowing out the gutters, then being pumped through a series of filters back into the pool through 54 inlets. This method of continuous flow prevents any scum or dirt from accumulating on the surface. In ordinary pools with only a few inlets instead of 54, the chlorine is apt to concentrate in a few places, causing irritation to the eyes. But due to planning and modern design, there are no red eyes here. And right where the St. Louis Browns hold their spring training, out at the Memorial Stadium in Olive Avenue Park, future Babe Ruths and Joe DiMaggio's get first-hand pointers from big league players. It is city policy not only to provide guided supervision for leisure hours, but also by this guidance to instill principles of leadership and cooperation. The city supports and encourages the talents and aspirations of the people for the enjoyment of the people. The Youth Symphony, the Burbank Symphony and Choral Club, the Civic Light Opera Chorus and Opera Ballet, the Municipal Band, the Theater Guild Players. Who knows but that here, still to be discovered, stands another Sarah Bernhardt or Helen Hayes, another Barrymore or Bankhead, another Gable or Grable. The services of the city are as varied as the needs and desires of the people. To provide these services requires not only initiative, management, and equipment, it requires men and women. The multiple services of the city demand the talents and skills embraced by 239 different position classifications and titles. These positions are filled by competitive examination, written, oral, and actual work performance tests. The efficiency of all the city services can in large measure be credited to the ability and skill of the men and women selected particularly for their particular job. And in providing those services, which make it possible for 80,000 people to live together for their mutual benefit, during the past few years, the city has maintained a steady policy of growth and expansion to meet the needs of a growing and expanding community. All this has been accomplished on the sound and practical policy of pay as we go. How well this has been done can be told in a few figures. According to state law, Burbank could borrow $16 million. Burbank's present debt is only $600,000. But in June, the people voted a bond issue to help cover the cost of almost doubling the capacity of the generating station. When these bonds are sold, the city debt will be less than $3 million, still less than 20% of the amount set by law. Interest on the bonds will be paid not by taxes, but from operating profits of the department. In maintaining this pay-as-we-go policy, the pattern of each year's operation is set by an annual budget prepared by the city manager and approved by the council. This is the story of the 1950 tax dollar. 27 cents went to the county, 41 cents for schools. Metropolitan Water District got 4 cents, and flood control needed 3 cents. The balance, actually only 25 cents, went to the city. Well-planned and well-managed city services, sensible tax rates and adequate supplies of water and power help make a city attractive to new industry and business. And as industry expands, the community itself expands and grows. Building activity steps up to keep pace with increasing population. Increased population means more commercial and business activity. And all this steady, healthy growth directly affects the individual by providing more and better job opportunities. And so the council and city manager prepare for and plan for the future. A new substation for the southwest area, along with enlarged distribution facilities for the whole city. Negotiations have started with state and county for building grade separations across the railroad right-of-way. Parking is a problem in every city. Sometimes quite a headache. Off-street parking is the best answer. At present, Burbank has 3 off-street parking lots, paid for from parking meter collections. More lots will be provided as soon as sufficient funds from the meters accumulate to pay for the necessary land and improvements. Blueprints have been drawn and orders placed for the new 30,000 kilowatt steam electric generating unit. Land has been purchased and plans drawn for a new headquarters fire station. Construction is rapidly progressing on new Burbank Bowl in Stowe Park, where the Burbank Symphony will have its new home. And long-range plans have been drawn for a network of superhighways and freeways to facilitate traffic in all directions. And so, as the city makes its plans for the future, let power from city lines turn the wheels of industry and brighten your home at night. Let your children sleep in the quiet safety of their beds. And in the morning, drive to work on broad, smooth streets. Or on a lazy Sunday, take the family for an outing. Yes, enjoy the advantages of your city, but not just as a spectator or outsider. Come to a council meeting on a Tuesday afternoon. When you can, read the city charter. For the city is one of your most valuable possessions. You own it and you run it. And when the time comes to assert your authority, when you go to the polls, when you cast your ballot, you are voting not only for whom you want, but also for what you want and how you want it done. For when the words, "The council so orders," tell the city manager to start the wheels of progress rolling, it is actually 80,000 voices saying, "The people so order." For this is your city. This is your corner of America. This is Burbank.